to be honest. But in Pakistan, like if you heard the case about Zainab, I'm sure you must have heard about it. Some little child got raped. It's all over the news.
Okay.
She was 6 years old and she got raped by a man. And what happened was that person got a death penalty.
Okay,
and it was very famous in the whole of Pakistan.
That's awesome.
And I really hate.
But there's a report that was done by, or an investigation done by AP News, which is like this news organization.
Yeah, I know the
about
news. Associated Press.
Yeah, Associated Press. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. About kind of abuse in madrasas, basically.
Yes, so, in Pakistan.
Yeah, in Pakistan.
Okay.
And it said that because of this sort of blood money clause, and because kind of often these kind of people like madrasas kind of aren't organized or centralized. There isn't a central.
Exclusive to madrasa then?
No, it's not exclusive. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But I just like maybe I can just give you the sort of report for you to read in full.
So children are getting abused in the madrasa, and those perpetrators, the parents of the children, are accepting blood money for the abuse to the children.
Yeah, because of.
I haven't really heard of it, to be honest, but it could be a few cases.
You can say that that's wrong.
Of course, I do agree with it's wrong, but I haven't seen much cases of that, to be honest. Maybe you can show me a social press.
Yeah.
Like I told you, the case about the Zainab, the little child got murdered. He got the perpetrator got the death penalty. So if there's cases in madrasas, then I really despise that and I do condemn it.
But it's I just like it sounds reasonable when you kind of agreed before that. If we're trying to prevent an option, a possibility of a corruption, that this seems like kind of a provision, like blood money, which could be liable to corruption if you have like a powerful family versus a poor family. If you're living in kind of like a sort of more rural area where there isn't like kind of strict rule of law, then you could. I'm just like wondering. No. He obviously.
No, but I already told him that it'd be rare for someone to accept.
No, we're having a reasonable discussion here. We don't need. No. Well, okay.
I've seen him before.
I've
seen him. So his name's James, right? We're having a normal discussion.
But we've clarified that. It's not like automatic the death penalty for rape. It can
like I said, it's up to the family, right?
Okay.
If the family wants the death penalty for the person that gets raped, it's up to them.
Okay.
But to be honest, like I told you already, in the cases of Pakistan, for my country, most of the time they do accept the death penalty for the children. But if they want to accept blood money, it's up to them, right?
Okay.
You disagree with the family accepting the blood money?
Yeah. I think that's a system that's liable to abuse.
Well, let's say if the country is not corrupt. Let's say if the government system is organized.
Okay.
And it's basically just up to the family without having any pressure from the government or people.
Okay.
And they want to accept blood money, then you object that.
I think I would still object because
it's up to the family though. Because in Sharia, this is the same thing as well.
Wouldn't it be better for it to be up to the individual? Because you could imagine
the individual, as in, but she's dead though.
If it's rape, she's not dead.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's what happens.
Oh, okay.
It's up to the individual and family.
Okay.
I thought you talking about rape and death. You just talking about rape. Okay, cool. It's up to the individual.
Okay.
So that's up to them then.
Even then, like, kind of, there's an argument against that as well. Because
so that she's influenced by the government and peer pressure for accepting money.
Yeah, so it's
that
like,
could happen in all
cases.
Like
in our legal system, if someone gets seriously abused, like, is seriously attacked, they might still not want to press charges because, like, for example, they might know the person who's attacked them, or they might feel scared. In that case, often the legal system will say, no, it's not your decision. For the good of society, we are going to go forward and prosecute, even though we don't. So I think there's an argument that could be made against blood money at all. But the reason why I brought this up was just to show that it's not automatic that the rapist who gets caught gets death in Pakistan. It can go to blood money.
It's up to the individual, like I said.
Yeah. So the second thing was, you said that like the UK is kind of the rape capital.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said his country, and I thought you meant when Raj said like
he's originally from India.
Okay, so I thought you were referring to like the UK. Being
so you disagree with that India is the rape country?
I still think South Africa has a higher like rate of rape, and I think there are kind of other countries that you could say.
Well, we know India tops it though. India is very top when it comes to rape.
It's probably like quite high, fairly high in the rankings.
I'm not sure about the official statistics, but I'm sure it's probably top 5 or top 10.
Okay, those are the kind of two sort of.
Yeah, but I didn't say UK. I didn't say that. I said India.
Well, you said his country and Raj.
He's originally from India though.
If you meant India, that's fair.
Yeah, of course, he's originally from India. So that's it, yeah.
Oh, and I want to show you, like, we'll go up to the camera now.
Yeah, that's fine.
I want to show you this AP News report. So I searched to the AP News,
Alright, cool.
and the name of it's this report, Islamic schools in Pakistan plagued by sex abuse of children.
Alright.
And so it's an interesting report, and it sheds light on how the blood money system has been abused, and not just in a couple of cases. This is just like the interesting part. You should read it through fully
Of
yourself.
course, I would love to. I love to because it's my country, and if that's happening, then I would love to do something about it. Because I'm going this December.
Yeah. So if you just remember that headline, AP News, it will definitely come up on Google. So the best time for you. Obviously, if I tried to show it to you here, you wouldn't have time to read it.
Yeah, of course, I'll read it.
Better to read it full. Okay, cool. Thanks.
What's your name? My name's Osama. What's your name?
James.
James. Yeah, I know you, James already.
Don't listen to some people like also might say, watch out for this guy.
No, I've seen your debates. At the start, you were very sincere, and you're listening to Muhammad Ajab and and Sabur Ahmed as well. Then afterwards, you just changed your tone a bit. Like the way you been debating, it just changed. Like from my experience, from what I saw. What changed? What changed for me? What changed?
Slightly influenced.
What changed you?
By this gentleman here, saying that I've brought a slightly. I've taken his views on board and clashed them.
Raj, do you want to come in? What about India?
But it's weird because India is actually the UK, funny enough, has a higher rate of rape.
Really?
Yeah, it's really weird because you get this idea that India is pretty bad when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
But there's a famous rights conference that goes on and there's an Indian speaker who actually happening. I was shocked when he told me that the UK has a higher rate of rape than India. So I did the actual check. And it's actually true.
That's surprising.
Very careful what you accept. But I would say in India that it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Child abuse is like 50%. So
There's always kind of about how many rapes get reported. So you only know the reported rape incidents. So it could be that India is worse, but it's hard to tell.
rape is such a curious thing. We take it so seriously. But at the same time, we don't really give it the freedom to go a little further as to how complex this crime is. And the fact that we're even able to prosecute as an actual crime is amazing to say the least. Because when something gets stolen, right, or something gets robbed, we have the evidence that the physical thing is missing, right? So the police can go over that and then they can hopefully trace it back to find records. Right? It literally is the testimony of something. Because sex happens in a very private environment and no one is invited to come and view the sex. So we literally have no evidence apart from like if it's being violated and it's bruising and
Or if it's like a children or something.
absolutely. But even still, someone was telling me the other day that even in some cases when a woman does get aroused and she has a complication or whatever, the body apparently has been exercised to make adaptive features. So basically when women do get raped, to prevent a lot more kind of bruising and dysfunction, they do get raped. So just how complex is that? And then if she's not showing any bruising and she's saying she's got raped, do you believe her? Do you not? Do you take on board the fact that the body may have responded in response to trying not to get bruised? It's such a complex issue.
I agree with that.
To actually talk about it because I mean it's such a
So how do you improve the legal cases for rape? So how do we like you said testimony? Yeah, we rely on testimony. So how do we improve the legal precedents when it comes to rape? Like how do we accept someone's testimony?
See, I don't think anyone has the answer. It's really hard because nowadays people are taking the stance of being the victim, right? Which is it's admirable because obviously there's a lot, like James said, there's a lot of women who feel scared to come out. Society, religion, what have you. Again, a lot of women who become prohibits in general because they have something else and they have to give sex. There's a lot of things that unfortunately and men actually into these situations. So I think one of the biggest problems about being the victim is that there's a lot of people who use it malice as well. And that's a very big problem. I don't have an answer for that. It's a really hard case to prove. The fact that we even have the fact that we even have for me personally, conviction rate is impressive to say the least. We can do better, but unless you stick cameras on everyone and the cameras are on 24/7, I don't really see how we're going to get any better than this.
We invent lie detection.
There's that, exactly. The ones that we've got now, they're good, but they're not like 100%.
No, you could maybe sedate people partially, so that they can't even think about lying, and then just like kind of, if we could do that reliably, kick someone's ass, just know who's lying.
Hide it because you read in the comments. See how far they are. If you want. I just don't want this to I've already been done recording.
But it's always recording all the time.
No, I was going to say, they have this new thing where it's, before it used to be it's not the barometer, that's the steps, isn't it? They had this thing that basically hooked onto your heart rate and would kind of measure the flutters in your heart rate to tell whether you're lying or not. And that was not completely accurate, but it was, it was the best thing that we had going. Now they're trying to do this thing where it notices the chemicals in your brain. So when you lie or when you feel nervous or you don't feel confident about answering something, you have an instant explosion of chemicals within your brain because you know that you're not really kind of like telling the truth here. So they're trying to implement that, but I think it costs a lot of money. Like if you know MRIs and stuff like that, just to produce an image, it's like really expensive. This is why NHS don't really jump to giving everyone tests because it's stupidly expensive. So rape is a hard one. It's a hard one. It's a really hard one. And I feel sorry for the victims because a lot of the times we have conversations about these things and their voices get left behind. But then at the same time, there's people who have been falsely accused and they're victims as well, but people don't see that. So it's a really difficult topic to kind of...
It's also about the researching as well, like when people identify the people that have been groomed, for example, Quilliam, they make false articles and they blame it on a specific immigrant group, which like is very problematic. Because like just like they, before you came, we were talking about Raj, about grooming, and I denied the Quilliam statistics, and he said I'm a grooming gang denier just because I denied the statistics of Quilliam. So it's very problematic.
I think the thing is, you're always going to get people who will throw whatever label they can at you because if they can't really attack your statistics, you're kind of reading your research. The next best thing is your character. So the idea of being a rape apologist is the most foul thing on this planet.
Of course.
Like a lot of people, as soon as they hear that, they wouldn't even like give you the time of day.
Of course.
So for people like Raj, Manny Sinda, all of these people, it's about defiling your character so that they don't have to address your arguments. If they don't have to address your arguments, then that's the work done for them. Now the problem, like you were saying, with identifying certain people, because 5 years ago it wasn't Muslim grooming. 5 years ago it was white, cis, straight males. And I was completely against that because you can't... The worst thing is that rapists make up less than 5% of our population. So the fact that you're taking less than 5% of our population and then generalizing it to the whole of the population,
of course,
it's scientifically not even valid. It's not accurate. It's nothing. You can't do that. You have to have a significant kind of like evidence or significant influence or significant percentage in order to make a generalization that actually is impactful. So for me personally, when people kind of like put rapists in the bracket of religion, race, gender, whatever, it doesn't really help the situation at all because it gives other people more kind of like incognito to basically do the crimes, and because people won't suspect them, they end up doing it. So it's problematic. But I don't know, James, do you have anything to add?
I think if you make a precise statement, it's okay, and you say things with nuance. So like saying that most Pakistani men are groomers would be like atrocious.
Ridiculous.
Saying that Pakistani men are overrepresented relative to their population size in grooming gangs would probably be a more reasonable statement because it's not just Quilliam who's made that observation, it's also the prosecutor in the Northwest who like actually prosecuted and was in charge of prosecutions in like maybe all of Yorkshire or something, and he was of Pakistani heritage himself. He said like, look, I've overseen like all of these cases have gone through my office, and it's been sort of like overrepresented these Pakistani men. So if you make a precise statement, I didn't see the problem with that necessarily.
I think for me, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. Like one of those things where if people bring up the Quilliam study to me, I'll roll my eyes a lot of the times and I will just look away from them because that's not the statistics that you should go on. What Quilliam did, unfortunately, is over a span of 17 years, they found 200 and something cases. Now, if you know anything about child abuse, we know that there is nearly 50,000 claims of child abuse yearly. So 243, that's not matching up to the statistics of the NSPCC. So we need to find out why isn't there even more supposedly Pakistani people raping gangs and etc. Why are they not being prosecuted, etc. But the problem I have in particular, when I guess again, I don't have a problem if it was 90% black, right, that were being prosecuted for rape, and these were convictions. I wouldn't have a problem with saying, you know what, there's something in our culture that we need to address, because convictions don't lie. You know, numbers don't lie. Anything. But if these aren't conviction numbers that we're talking about, and these are surveys by Quilliam, or these are surveys by the New York Times, then we need to have a look more. We have to have a deeper look into how they manage to get those statistics. Be a bit more skeptic about what's their agenda at the time as well. But furthermore as well, we need to understand just how broad of a spectrum child abuse is, because some people seem very content in saying that, oh, we need to concentrate on this child abuse, forget about the other child abuse. And I think, well, hang on, child abuse is child abuse in its entirety.
100%.
Like, the whole point is that we're supposed to be safeguarding children.
Well, I think there's a converse way of looking at things, and that's someone could say you can't solve every problem at once, and so there's no harm in like looking at a particular form of child abuse and trying to solve that, because I think, I believe that did the Quilliam study not make it clear that it was like focusing on streets, kind of in-person grooming gangs, rather than like sort of all child abuse or rape? So if you're being specific and you're looking at a specific problem, where I'd agree with you is that if someone shows, that they don't even think of other forms of abuse as a problem, then that would be inconsistent. But simply like kind of there could be someone whose main kind of way he wants to make the world better is to focus on recycling, and it wouldn't be fair to say to him like, why aren't you trying to stop malaria? Or, so
the all or nothing argument, I definitely agree with that, because I think that's another way for people to really put down someone's efforts in trying to actually get some information out. And I would definitely agree with that sentiment if it wasn't necessarily for the various people who have then gone to read the Quilliam study and actually kind of like address its limitations. Because one of the biggest limitations about the Quilliam study is that they didn't even give how their method of collecting data actually happened. So people couldn't actually go and what's the word? Repeat exactly, to produce similar statistics that would make it valid. Now the problem with that is that people then took it upon themselves to go and find out if they could find out differentiating results, right? And they found that Quilliam, where they found three gangs, which were a mixture, mostly white British males. This newspaper article managed to find 100 more. Yeah. And this was sadly within a day and a half that they managed to find these articles. And they found that the difference is that the term grooming gang is often reserved for groups of, not specifically only, because you will find grooming gang articles where there are different races. But the problem is that title seemed to be reserved mostly for people of Asian specific. That's what happened. And when they found all of these other gangs, they were called pedophile rings. Yep. They were called rings. They were called, one of the articles goes as far as to call them thugs. Now for me, a thug is someone who is hostily violent. I don't think of a pedophile as a thug, a child abuser. There's a difference between the two. But I don't think of a child abuser as a thug. I feel that's someone who is a disgusting human being.
They're also groomers as well.
They may be or may not be thugs. Like they may use violence or may not.
I know, but I feel like the kind of like allocating of the term thug kind of diminishes the actual kind of damage that child abuse does. It takes it away from the spectrum of child abuse and more of a, the person's a bit of a rough lad, he just gets into trouble all the time. And it's like, no, these are child abusers, let's label them for what they are. And I think where we're talking about grooming gangs specifically, and you said that you don't have a problem with people choosing a specific thing, I absolutely agree, because rape is only a part of child abuse. I imagine the majority of it is physical. That's what I'd imagine anyway. Physical, neglect. Just because it's like, it's such a broad spectrum. But the problem I have with just labeling it grooming gangs in particular is because the reason the CEOP study that I keep bringing up, right, did any study in general is because a lot of this activity now is moving online. So even the street gang mentality is becoming a lot less popular amongst these people who would abuse children. Because on the street, you physically have to go up to a child, or you physically have to be there in order for your presence to actually make any difference to groom them or to bring them into that form of lifestyle. Whereas online, the window of opportunity is much shorter, right? Your anonymity is is a lot more. You know, you don't have to go in person to see the child, and you can groom them via messages, instant messages, any kind of, even video games nowadays. So that's one of the biggest problems. It's now moving online, but because we keep painting it now to be a street thing, people are concentrating on the street, not realizing that your children are not any more safer indoors with an iPad than they are on the street.
Exactly.
You know, at 9 o'clock. So that's a really big problem.
I mean, I'd prefer kind of, you know, if I had an 11-year-old daughter, her being kind of in my house, kind of using her internet device than on the street at 9 p.m. or in a takeaway shop at 9 p.m. But there is still a danger.
No, I understand. There's definitely levels of risk. So, you know, if she's out alone, she's definitely probably more at higher risk. Well, I don't really know the statistics. Let me find out and I'll come back next week. I don't really know. I shouldn't open my mouth. But I'd imagine what you're saying is probably consistent.
And sometimes we won't have the statistics at hand, but we still need to like just kind of make the best guess we can. And so like, if let's say we couldn't find kind of whether it was more, whether there's a controlled kind of comparable to statistics of like online to like outdoors, I'd probably still just like kind of go with my, you know, my feeling and say kind of, no, I definitely prefer in my house, like online than outdoors.
No, I definitely agree. I just think sometimes in the park, what a lot of people do is that they do go with their guts, and someone may come with contradicting information the next week, and there's a lot of pride in there.
Yeah.
So I always like to make it clear that, you know, it's a continuous conversation, and that if information does come about next week, then we learn different. Then we make that obvious and we make that open, we make that public, sort of thing.
Okay.
But no, you're absolutely right. For the time being, we can go with our gut instinct, and definitely, my gut instinct would be, I would rather her in the house because I can keep an eye on her a little bit more.
Put your child lock on, that sort of thing.
Yeah, child lock. But it's weird. People seem to be getting past all of these loopholes. I mean, if you're a criminal, you're always going to be up in your game. So
it's not. You're right.
So I don't know. I mean, again, if a problem is specific and the evidence, like legitimate evidence, is there for us to all see, then I don't really see a problem in stating that a certain community has a problem. I was one of the first people back in the day to say that the black community has a problem with knife crime and gang culture and whatever, and that we should fix it. Like, that wasn't a problem to me. I didn't see it as a racial thing. I didn't really see it as something that was bringing us down as people, because ultimately I didn't like seeing black people getting stabbed on the street. It literally came down to that. So for me personally, I don't see a problem, but I think where there's an agenda, sometimes I do have to point it out is all. And I've presented various information while I've been here at the park, and I've seen certain people know that information, and they just still carry on kind of spouting out the same narrative. I mean, we even had the Sikh groomer. The Sikh groomer, who was the kingpin of the whole situation. Now, I don't really see Muslims running to say that, look at Sikh culture, this is what Sikh culture does. But we had
Never said that.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of people basically saying that Sikh people, for some reason, would never be involved in these situations or these crimes because they're a lot less repressed than Muslims. They spend time with their women, etc. You know, you can go and see the videos, they're still online. But yet, we have situations like this that occur where the head was a Sikh person. Nothing to do with the culture, nothing to do with the religion.
The funny thing is, the Sikh people like Mani Singh, they denied he was a Sikh and said he was a Muslim. And then
I think they said that he converted to Sikh.
Yeah, but that wasn't true at all. It was proven that he was wrong. He was actually a Sikh. And that's what happens.
You have to give a shout out to the actual organizations within the Sikh community though, because the SAS they actually came out and actually kind of like, one, they went to do the research, they went to find the actual person in particular, the person in topic in question. They found out about his family background, they found out about his religion, they found out about like his upbringing, etc. And they were very honest and they were very open and they were very forthcoming about it, because they were like, we see this situation as a problem that affects girls. It's not about religion, it's not about rivalry, it's not about tribe. And they just, like, it was just so refreshing to see that amount of openness and honesty from a community that does feel slightly affected by, say, the Muslim community. The fact that they know that this is not a good look, they were still able to be honest with it. And that, I can take that kind of legitimacy. Go. I can take that legitimacy seriously, and I can take that kind of credibility as someone who's trying to fix the problem. But my biggest problem nowadays, I think, is going online, and there's people out there now, everyone's so popular with these streams, and they're very kind of like obsessed with spewing out the same rhetoric and narrative, even though people have proved it wrong. I don't understand how you can do that. Someone comes to the park, gives you information, you can't prove them wrong. You don't go home and do more research. No, you just keep spewing the same rhetoric.
I don't understand
And the
that.
thing is, people are getting more concerned as well, because I know there's like a genuine concern of like British people, their children are getting raped. We understand that. But the thing is, like I said to you, like when you basically blame it on a specific community and population, this is where it starts to get problematic. Because like you say, when some people come up to me, if I tell them I'm Pakistani, oh, you lot are groomers. And that's like a very
You see, that's
ridiculous
that's
thing
just,
to hear. You get
that's
me?
just a classification the government created to put Muslim people in. Just like how if a white person commits, goes and shoots up the bar like he did in the States the other day, he's not a terrorist, he's mentally ill. So if the Pakistani guy or a Muslim guy is basically a pimp, because that's what they were pimps. They were pimping these girls. They're not pimps, they're groomers. If it was a white prostitution ring or a white pimping gang, they wouldn't be called groomers, they would be called pimps. Just like there was a couple of young white guys around in their early 20s. They got this girl, got her hooked on her class A drugs and all this stuff. They were pimping around. I think it was in Coventry or something like that. I'm not exactly sure where. They were pimping around everything. They didn't call it a grooming gang. It was called a prostitution thing.
There we go.
Why was that? Because they were white. If they had been brown or if they were whatever, they would have been called grooming gang. That's basically all it is.
That's exactly what Quilliam did as well. When they mentioned
the
the articles, they mentioned the grooming gang articles, but when it came to the white perpetrators, they didn't mention them. Why? Because they were called paedophilia rings. What they were called thugs, like you said.
But this is the problem. Like, I feel like a lot of people love to make money off false kind of like concern, and this is what scares me a lot of the times, and what makes me nervous. The fact that people can pretend that they care about child rape just to make a bit of money.
I think Tommy Robinson's one of them.
They don't give a shit.
I think Tommy Robinson's one of them.
It's like
I don't
the
think he cares.
Americans.
I don't
It's
think
like
he
the
cares.
Americans.
care,
They
and
go
I've been
bomb
saying
the
this from
crap
day
out
one.
of babies. They go bomb the crap out of babies. They put them in jail, like, you know, Trump put them in the cages. Oh, you want abortion? Oh, we're going to kill you if you even think of having an abortion. Oh, you want abortion? How dare you? That baby. But once that baby is alive, they don't care about it. You know, it's just hypocrisy. They just want to control people.
I
That's
think
it.
what you were saying earlier about you had British gentlemen basically coming up to you and saying you're Pakistani, you're a rapist, whatever, blah, 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 child groomer, whatever. I think that shows just the level of hypocrisy and the kind of fragile ego that you get from a lot of white working class British males that do come to this corner, unfortunately, and feel like they have this kind of moral obligation to tell other people to stop doing what they are very heavily involved in. And I've talked to a few of them a lot of the times, and when I confront them with the sins of their own nature, when I confront them with the sins of their own nature, a lot of the times they will run and say, oh, it's the elite, oh, it's the government. They will never address the fact that they have systematic child abuse problems within their communities. There's no mystery why a lot of these crimes happen in places like Rotherham, Telford. These are all run-down socio-economic places where people, all they're concerned about is sex, drugs, crime, a lot of the times. And a lot of rich people don't even have much to do with these people just because of that kind of nature. I spoke to a gentleman the other day, and he came from that kind of area, and he shuddered. This is a British
Online
gentleman as
paedophilia
well.
is nearly entirely a white person thing, white male domain. Online paedophilia, white male domain. Yeah, and that can't even compete with anything these guys are doing, you know?
But I was just about to say, I don't think that's the thing. I don't think other people are trying to paint it out to be a competition. And
I
think that's the most
know.
important
But they
thing.
just want to like
But that
paint
is-
it.
that is
They
it,
want to say
exactly.
they want to say if you commit this crime, it has a different classification to when a white person commits the crime.
Absolutely.
Just like with cocaine and crack.
I mean,
you know?
I'll give you an example, right? A lot of the times I hear the EDL are coming down to this park, and I find out utterly hilarious because EDL, DFLA, or whatever, right? You won't find a Muslim in this park that's been convicted of any child crimes. But you have various people within the DFLA and the ADL who have been convicted of child grooming, rape, and molestation. No one speaks about this.
Yeah.
People like Raj won't say a word to them. People like Manny won't say a word to these people. They will never call them out.
It's their house, isn't it? Coconut.
But that's the thing. That's the
yeah,
problem.
basically.
So I think where my frustration lies is people pretending that they care about young people, or they care about children, etc.
don't
When
give a shit.
they have all it is for them is just means to an end.
Yeah.
And I think it's very dangerous that there's people actually following these people and actually listen to their mentality. But the thing is, I find it telling that these people are the same people standing with child abusers, molesters, and paedophiles, telling other people to stop abusing children.
Hypocrisy.
Like, Raj has been seen with the EDL. None of them have called out the EDL. None of them within their panels have called out the EDL. But they've all been convicted. Well, not all of them, sorry.
Right.
There have been a few people who've been convicted of all of these crimes. And then furthermore, on their Facebook groups, people have actually found that certain people have said, hide this, make this go away. We can't let people know that our organization has this going on. So
the protection of children is not their paramount. It's not their like a priority. And I think people need to start understanding this and stop giving these people time of day, the pleasure, or even
It's
the
easier.
kind
A
of thing.
divided society is easier to control, basically. That's why we see the funding. It doesn't come from the man in the street. It comes from the higher ups. You know, the 1%, whatever, who provide the money so these guys can go out and do whatnot. Like, look at Tan's website. Where did Tan get the money for that? Yeah. Okay.
Where's Tan now?
Exactly, but yeah. But
Where's
you know,
Tan now?
where is Tan now? But where did he get the money originally? You know, just because the money may come from dark donors or whatever, does not mean that those dark donors also will be able to control the police up to the full extent, or the CPS, or wherever up to that extent. They can provide the money, but they may not be able to provide the political support. You know what I mean?
No,
I
absolutely.
like your
And I think you
speech.
touched
You
on a
had
really good point about the
powerful
money as well.
speech.
This in particular, I mean, a lot of people are now starting to ask questions about Tom
You can
Robinson's
talk very
bank
fast.
account, right? A lot of people are now saying that,
What
you know,
I
he
really
stands to
want
make £1 million
observe
just by
the
traveling to America, right?
effect
This
of
is a
your
gentleman
student
who
then.
fights for the working class. He
Try to
comes
get
with
it
very
answer
dressed up,
from them.
you know,
Put a
designer
question and
clothing.
get an answer.
This is not a working class gentleman.
He's a pimp,
You know,
basically.
this is not exactly. This is not a working class gentleman. Even a lot of the working class boys who come down here, they come down dressed with the worst fashion sense. But you can tell a lot of their stuff is quite high value.
Yeah.
Right. Fair enough, they don't know how to dress. That's not an offense to them. I just don't like their style. I find it very tacky. But a lot of them claim to be working and speaking for the working class. I've met working class people. These people don't represent British working
They're
class.
not.
100%.
I've never seen working
Like,
class.
I've never seen people I've served talk with such ignorance, such ill manner, and such absolute contempt for other people born out of ignorance as well. So, I don't know. I feel like people need to slightly move on in the park from this conversation because it's showing that people in the UK don't really give a shit about children. They don't.
We should do more to
Like,
help
it's
the
been-
victims, man. Honestly,
Absolutely.
instead of coming here talking all the time, let's do
Seriously.
something. Let's go and help the victims.
Seriously, everyone turns it into such a Jeremy Kyle show, but you know, 6 months on, none of us have done anything to help
Because
children.
people don't care. It's something to talk about, something to go hoo-ha, something to get views and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, people don't care about working to fix the situation.
Hello. What are we talking about?
He said, come on in. Video's recorded. I always talk about why they say if a brown person commits a crime, it's a major thing. But if a white person commits the same crime, no one cares. That's what we talk about, really. Like how, you know, when you've got white pedos and whatever and pimps, they're not called a grooming gang, but because it's a brown person, they're called a grooming gang. That's what we talk about, basically. You know what I mean? Just like it's exactly the same thing of where, you know, if a white guy wants to do cocaine, oh, it's not a big deal. But if a black guy wants to do crack, oh, we're going to throw the book at him. You know, that kind of crap. It's just different laws for different races, basically. That's what it is. Like, it's all racist, man. You don't even know why I'm even wasting my time, but it's all racist. Even let's just take America, right? They legalize weed, yeah? They're not stopping white guys, white kids. They're stopping just black kids and Latino kids. So why are they stopping the white kids? The white kids, their stop and search rate has gone into minus because they're not even getting stopped at all for drugs or anything like that. But all the black kids, all the brown kids, they're getting stopped. Their stop and search rate has skyrocketed, whereas for the white kids, it's fallen. So you can just see for yourself, it's all to do with racism. Even when you have like high crime stats for a certain ethnic group, it's just because they're over-policed. That's it. If the police spend all their time just chasing after black people, then obviously all the black people are going to have high crime rates. If they chase all the white people, then the white people are going to have higher crime rates. For the exact same things, you just see it. It's all about who you police. Normally, like if a white person does a similar offence, they're let off with a warning. Black person, brown person, you've got a fine or you're going to jail. You know what I mean? It's all racist policing, and it goes up to racist, wordplay by the media, and then that goes into, it all comes down from the top down, really. The government decides, and then the media and everything plays along by whatever thing that the government has done. As long if the economy is going down, then the government needs everybody to fight each other, hate each other. They need the black guy to fight the white guy, the brown guy to fight the black guy. You know, that's what it is. It's what it is control, hate and control. That's it. They don't want people to chat or get on with each other. They don't want people to hang out. You know, they want people to hate each other, be divided across racial lines, class lines, religious lines, That's how they want people to be divided against. Whereas people should be either you care about people or you don't care about people. That should be the groups. People who don't care about people and people who care about people. That's it. That should be the only division. And it's really easy to see which groups don't care about people and which groups do care about people. You know what I mean? Where's Leon?
COE. Big up COE.
Emulation of human thinking other media will be constrained by processes. Moreover, a simulation will most likely slow down.
I'm 19 years old. 19.
Look, there was the racist, what's her name? Racist Sophia Films. Hey, what's up, Sophia? You know, we're here, you're not here because you ain't got the guts to come here. You know, don't worry, Sophia, we'll make everybody Muslim. Just for you. Take care.
I've seen you comment, you want the death penalty for some people, yeah? You want to kill some people. I've seen a comment, she said she want to kill Ali Dawa. You want to kill Ali Dawa, you want to kill Hijab. What's wrong with you? Honestly, I don't understand how people support Sophia Films. Whoever supports her, you're just as crazy as her. She's the one that's actually like, you know, violent.
Yeah, she is. Like Sophia, she's like a typical Christian. You want violence for everybody.
Unless you're simulating an abstract model of a human being. But then is that really a human?
La ilaha illallah.
The synapse and at what rate it crosses the synapse. The actual,
Oh, Leon's scary camera, man.
We can capture the functionality of what helps us think.
Exactly, yeah. Yo. Nice to meet you, man. How's it going? Yeah, I've been writing AI, well, I won't say AI, machine learning code, neural networks from the late 1990s. I'm not so hands-on anymore. I'm more big data systems, but machine learning is still a part of it. So I'm here to demystify a little bit.
A basic breakdown for people who
Well, first of all, okay. Camera's on? All right. So AI is largely a science fiction construct. It currently doesn't exist. We don't have artificial intelligence yet. What we have is machine learning and neural networks. And what those are effectively really just a lot of mathematical algorithms that are designed to optimize solutions to certain problems. So to give you an example, when would be the best time to send you an email that makes you buy a product? So that means I've been talking to you for a while, and like, no, you buy when this happens, you buy when that happens. What is the best product to recommend to you? Those kinds of things. So you're like, how old are you again?
27.
You're 27. So perhaps what is the kind of mortgage offer that I would give someone who's 27 years old based on all the 27-year-olds that I've spoken to in the past? They're typically those kinds of problems. And there are varying degrees of sophistication with which they work. So they're running things like mortgage and debt assessments, prison recidivism, job specifications, things of that nature. But they're not fundamentally intelligent. They're really just very clever math that's being applied to a lot of data and iteratively improving as like, oh no, this is wrong. The wrong is fed back, so now it has to change itself over and over and over again. So it's not intelligent. It's actually kind of dumb. And if I show you the math, you'll be a bit shocked how dumb they are sometimes.
So even like, the 8 Go, the recent, what's his name, Demystifying, who done the whole, they beat Go champion basically.
Lee Sedol, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it, he gave a talk somewhere, like some talk I went to. He showed like some of the examples how within a night, the AI had learned how to play Space Invader to a point where it's perfect basically.
Oh yeah.
Like same with Go basically, they beat anyone. And you're saying that all of that basically is done.
Oh yeah,
it's basic, simple machine learning, yeah?
It's math. If you were to pop the hood, it's really just figuring out optimal solutions mathematically to a particular set of inputs. That's all it's doing.
Isn't it doing artificial intelligence part? The fact that it's doing it without it's writing wrong behavior that it got. by trial and error, is figuring out.
Pretty much, yeah. So the fundamental difference. So again, we were having this discussion, him and I. Was like, what does intelligence actually mean? You see, when you break it down, what does that actually mean, right? It's capacity to solve problems. Now, the thing with computer algorithms is that they're not aware that what they're solving is a problem. They are basically taking data points in there and being told to apply a certain mathematical equation with a degree of iteration, and based on that, it can say this is the optimal solution. It's over here, and then it does that repeatedly, again and again and again. So it's really statistics. It's not even intellect. It's just math applied over and over again.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So how far are we away from? How far are we away from actual real artificial intelligence? Then? Like machines thinking and doing for itself.
So we have not achieved the capacity for intelligence that you would associate with a flea or a gnat at this stage. Most of what we're doing is very optimized to solve a very specific problem. It's not even smart enough to be an insect. But it is interesting is that the more computation we develop and the bigger the servers we make, the faster we're supposed to be getting to. So the only real limitation is that the algorithms themselves, and of course the intellects, the human intellects that are designing those solutions. But no, we're still a pretty long way away.
So when people like Elon Musk and all that sort of talking about literally, or was it Stephen Hawking basically talking about artificial intelligence and people bioengineering themselves into super cyborg humans and things like that, and the world ending by this method.
Yep.
It's a very long way away.
Well, we're not. Well, think about it this way. So there are several ways of achieving superintelligence. Cybernetics being one of them, and also being the least reliable. The read. And Nick Bostrom basically covered pretty much every possibility that you can come up with. Let's say it exists. What are the outcomes? 90% of the outcomes were horrifying. and the horror isn't in the fact that it's artificially intelligent. It's artificially intelligent built by a human being who must have messed up somewhere. And the example that he used was the paperclip robot. So if I design, like if me and you, and we get a whole bunch of intelligent people, and we design a super intelligent robot to manufacture paper clips, and that's the algorithm that we optimize it for, and then it becomes super intelligent. Now all of a sudden it's like, I need to make more paper clips. What should I do? Oh wait, there's these humans. They've got calcium and iron, and oh no, maybe I should use them. Oh, but what if I run out of humans? Oh, maybe there's more stuff that I can do. Oh, but I ran out of shit on the earth. Maybe, there's a universe. I can fire. That's an algorithm designed for paperclips, and it's already destroyed the world and some part of the universe. You see, that's the kind of scenario that we have, because it's so dumb and so optimized for a specific kind of thinking. It fucks everything up. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. And
What do you think about the future of humanity in terms of the relationship with machine learning?
So the crowd. So the. We are cyborgs today. Absolutely.
Actually being, have the hardware within us, like my smartphone.
Well, it would have to. Well, what do I? You're asking me my opinion. Okay. So first of all, we haven't gotten to a point where the hardware that we use is easily embeddable in a human being without like some severe problems with the human being. I can't plug a phone in my brain. My technology would have to be sophisticated to a point where it's all protein based and can kind of take care of itself and will not toxify me, and still maintain the same capacity as a mobile phone that I have. So we're very far from that. Maybe with nanotechnology, maybe if we get sort of like machine learning algorithms that are sort of super, like designing super proteins that we can use, and that's something people are actually working on, like designing super proteins that can actually carry data and cover that. And yes, we can probably embed that and maybe take a pill, and all of a sudden I have the capacity, you know, like to speak to someone else because I have a protein that can emit radio waves. Yeah. But that's the thing. Any sophisticated technology is indistinguishable from like things like biology and magic. Because if you think about us as human beings, and if I take away all of the sacredness of being a human being, I look at you just as a body. It's a pretty amazing thing you've got going on there. It figures shit out. It's self-healing. When it's hungry, it knows where to find resources to feed and maintain itself, and it's intelligent enough to figure out external problems that aren't related to the body. That's a fantastic piece of engineering. The best we can do is to come close to that. And with artificial intelligence, that's just it. Like if I can come close to that, no, it's going beyond that. That's the real concern. So yeah.
When you asked kind of what is intelligence, and then you kind of gave an answer like maybe it's the capacity to solve problems.
Yeah.
Kind of, do you think kind of we could capture a lot of that, like accomplish a lot of that goal, if we have a high degree of pattern recognition? Because if you can recognize patterns, you can sort of recognize behavior of a system. And once you know how a system behaves, then it's hopefully not that hard to think which levers should I pull to get the outcome I want. So do you think kind of machine learning do you think we'll just get more and more sort of general pattern recognizers, and will that kind of do a lot of the work that we want to do?
Well, it comes back to the conversation that you and I were talking earlier. And yes, the question of what is intelligence, and you see how we went from intelligence to pattern recognition. Yeah. Now what we've done with that situation is we've modeled a certain kind of intelligence. But is that all intelligence? What about spatial capabilities? What about intuition? So I'm breaking out of patterns and figuring things out. So pattern recognition is a skill, if you will, that human beings have mastered, and it's part of our intellectual acumen. But then parrots can do that. like dogs and cats can recognize patterns too. Maybe not at the same capacity we do. We can recognize more complex patterns, but pattern recognition is one aspect of it. It falls back. If everything becomes pattern recognition, then it's not intelligence anymore. It's really sophisticated pattern recognition. Yeah.
Can I ask, with AlphaZero, if I think about a human playing chess, kind of a human will learn chess and they'll kind of develop some heuristics about what's a good strategy that works kind of quite in certain situations in general. And so, and from those heuristics, I feel like a human could still be like a grandmaster of chess, could still play chess to like a high level if you change the rules such that, okay, now make the boards twice as big with twice as many pieces, or now play chess without any knights. So I'm wondering how much of that kind of the sort of, I mean, but my impression is that a machine an AI like Stockfish or AlphaGo or AlphaZero probably wouldn't be very good if you kind of dramatically like change the rules of chess and said, okay, try and play chess now with a twice as big a board with twice as many pieces. So I'm wondering kind of, is my assumption wrong? And also how could we kind of get a kind of AI that manages to somehow capture sort of this, I know, maybe general underlying structure of chess?
Well, so you brought an interesting point. It depends on how I train the algorithm. So if I was to train a chess algorithm, by the way, in chess was defeated long before machine learning. So people have done that completely mechanically with if-then statements. But if I was to say train an algorithm with the same way we trained AlphaGo, with just feeding it lots of chess games, it's not going to work very well if you suddenly decide to change the rules. And AlphaGo 0, for example, all it was given were a set of rules. So it was designed to play within a very narrow framework. So if you change the rules, suddenly what it's learned will cease to be as effective. But something like if I train it exclusively, this is how a knight moves, these are the rules for a knight, these are the, individually, sort of these are the rules for the queen, these are the rules for the bishop, these are the rules for a pawn, and then play thousands of games with each other, and then all of a sudden I give it a board full of pawns, it's going to figure out what it's done, because it's the choice and the algorithm that it's used to do that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Machines taking human jobs, but they do it more efficiently than us. What do you feel the humans would be doing if machines get to the point where most of our jobs are?
That's a great question, man. That's
train them to do our jobs more efficiently than us.
oh, that's that.
And the purpose of having a business is to make profit. They're going to get no more machine labor.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. No, and that's a great question. And funny enough, Nick Bostrom also was covering lots of disastrous economic scenarios. Because again, like yes, there's a machine that can make all these products, but there's no one to buy the products because they don't have any money because no one has a job. You know, kind of situation. So the whole cycle becomes pointless. And a large part of the reasoning behind the universal credit schemes or basic income schemes is largely in response to that. It's like yes, there's people who don't actually need to work or don't have the capacity to work in this environment. So what are we going to do about them? Yeah, and this idea of the useless class. So this idea of like people who like take a doctor for example. A lot of doctors don't need to work anymore because an algorithm can probably detect cancer or detect certain problems much better than they. So what are we going to do with those doctors who spent 20 years learning their craft? So it's a very interesting question. But there is a second dimension that's kind of surprising me, even as a developer, is that people like to deal with people sometimes, not necessarily with machines. And if you've ever called like a trouble hotline, if you've had like a problem with your mobile, aren't there days when you genuinely wished I want to speak to another person because I'm just tired of going, oh, press 1 for press 2, enter your. So there is a desire to have people, and some businesses are selling no. You're not an algorithm that's answering you. It's going to be a human being on the other line. Sorry, Mom, I don't have any change. I don't have any change, Mom. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But yeah.
So there is a desire there, and capitalism. If we give it that, it's like no, we'll go where the demand is. If my demand is no, I need like a team of people to answer other people, then that's what I'm going to do. The algorithm could probably be helping doing other things in the background, but if I want to talk to you instead of talking to Mr. Robot, you know, then
Customer service is basically always being occupied by humans, even though we heard some of the Google programs that are able to have conversations. The new version of Android.
yeah.
You can reject the code and the automated system will answer the code. But it sounds so much like a human and it can have a conversation.
Yeah. But
even the tone of the voice, it doesn't sound robotic.
oh, 100%.
You didn't know that it was a machine. You might have thought that was a human.
100%. But think about it this way, and here's where the situation kind of bugged me. It's like yes, I got my phone, for example, to call a restaurant and do a reservation. But what if the reservation also has a program sitting on the other end listening to the call? You see what I mean? Then that whole discussion is pointless. You know, then you just need a normal API to get that over. So the idea of me like writing a program to take care of shit that I don't want to, so I can focus on the things that I'm interested in, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And to be human-like, it needs to be human-like because it's talking to a human being on the other side. But if it's not a human being on the other side, then it's just like a normal program talking to another program. It doesn't need language. All of that goes away. You see what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. They're going to be even communicating more. Supposedly, I don't know. The way humans communicate. For example, a lot of different languages.
Yeah.
Like a Frenchman and an Englishman would have trouble communicating.
Exactly.
Machines, they might have like a core, I don't know. You do programming. You might know more than me. They might be able to develop ways like they only communicate the way they do now because humans gave them that method of communication.
Exactly.
They might find more effective ways of communication.
100%. 100%.
That's
Yeah.
one of the worries that they worry about. And even there was I can't remember a study where a guy did have an AI something similar. They were speaking to each other in different languages, and eventually they started actually speaking in a language the man had no idea.
Yeah. They developed a shorthand.
He turned the machine off after that.
So it was two. It was a program that was designed for so-called autonomous agents. So it's like little programs running around in a virtual environment, and they were exchanging information to be able to coordinate things. And their goal was to come up with the most optimal way of coordinating the movements. So they actually developed a shorthand to get things going so that they can coordinate things. It was a fascinating thing to watch.
This is why I think it might be a benefit as well. If we're able to develop programs and machines that are able to do things more effectively than we do currently, and to progress at a rate that will take us thousands of years, maybe if they get to that level where the machines do, maybe we can learn like what they're doing at that level
from them.
It's like kind of like time traveling in a way, getting information and digesting it in our current state, so we can make those advances without going through 1,000 biological years.
Well, again, it depends. You see, on what you mean by advance 1,000 biological years, because there's no way for me. Because yes, if we can create machine.
For instance, like the machines eventually start communicating in a way that humans can understand, that they believe is more efficient. So then if we're able to study that, however, I don't know how we're going to do it.
No, so it's interesting you say that. So have you ever heard of the Center for Applied Rationality? Or the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, MIRI. So those are a bunch of guys. Oh yeah, well, so that's interesting because they were set up by a guy called Eliezer Yudkowsky. And if any of you guys are in the rationalist community or the less wrong community, that guy's like the caliph of rationalism, as they like to call him, Eliezer Yudkowsky, and he's the one who set those institutes up. And what he's doing is he's taking traditional machine learning and game theory ideas and applying them to rationality in social situations. So you can actually apply for like a course, CFAR. It's pretty steep. It's like a couple of grand. But it's interesting is that you apply it to social situations and use game theory, how a computer program would solve a certain problem, and then you as a human being mimic that, and they're like, oh shit, this works, you know, and like we don't know why it works, but it does. But there is a downside to that, and that's kind of one of the situations. So I think back to Isaac Newton, right? Isaac Newton figured out why such and such a thing was occurring, and he encoded it in like mathematics and.
So we're just learning the answers.
Exactly. The problem with machine learning is that yes, it's giving us an answer, but why is this an answer? We have no fucking idea.
We can have philosophers who make no judgment because machines are doing everything.
Exactly.
Philosophize. I mean, there's been theories about that. Like, there's like a field of like called futurology.
How do you know for certain it's the machine?
There's a field of study. One second, I'll come to that. There's a field of study called futurology where people actually try and predict and look into the future. One of the things they spoke about is when AI and things like this do get to a level where they can do a lot of jobs, what will people be doing? And they say, you know, things like the arts, things like philosophy, things like thinking about ethical issues and actually how to code robots ethically will become a lot bigger jobs and a lot more bigger revenue streams than they are now, basically. And so a lot more people, and also there's been a lot of talk about things like a citizens' dividend payout, because the robots will be owned by everybody, so citizens will get paid by that sort of thing. So there's lots of different ideas of how this sort of society can work with robots. But I don't know, are you sort of pro-technology? Because I feel like technology's developed, and you as well, Ko. Like, are you not? Don't you feel the past 10, 20 years, like we've seen a massive movement in technology, but cybersecurity has not kept up with that. Like and data security and all these things, like we are more insecure now than ever because of how quick technology is moving. Technology improves.
So one thing you guys haven't brought up in this discussion, and since we're talking about AI, we haven't brought up quantum computing at any point. And to my mind, that is a much more prescient threat to things like security and. So quantum computing is a new branch of computing that is being worked on by guys at IBM and like CERN and a lot of mostly physics companies, not computer science companies. And what they're trying to do is to refer to such a thing as quantum dissonance. I'm forgetting so much. What's the word? The quantum entanglement. Correct. And it's interesting is that what it tries to do, instead of working in bits, that is 1 and 0, what it does is it tries to take the quantum states, that's like up, down, top, bottom, charm, and strange, and those are the metrics that it uses. And it uses quantum entanglement to run these weird statistical answers. So it's not working in like yes and no, it's working statistically. And funny enough, that works perfectly with artificial intelligence as well. So when you mix something like quantum computing and to try to say crack someone's passwords, it can do it in one iteration rather than say a brute force approach that does it in a few thousand iterations. So that's all of your security gone out the window. And with that, we can also use that with artificial intelligence, and that's another sort of source of explosiveness in the intelligence explosion. So that now you're running basic statistics with every iteration rather than ones and zeros. So again,
I'm right to be concerned, right? Like, am I the only one that's concerned?
well, we don't know. That's the scary thing. Is like because we're entering sort of new territory here. We've never been in this situation before, so it's very unpredictable what's going to actually happen. And Nick Bostrom predicts 3 types of machine learning, sort of super intelligent algorithms, and he calls them basically there's genies, oracles, and sovereigns, right? So an oracle is really just an algorithm that's designed to answer questions. So you would ask it something like, what is the meaning of life, or some stuff, or what is the best way to do such a thing? A genie is in the same way you would use Google. That's an oracle or a Google or whatever you want to call it. A genie is basically an algorithm that is designed to achieve a certain task or goal. So the genie is supposed to be like the paperclip robot, optimize my production line that produces paperclips. And the most terrifying one is the sovereign, which is to tell it to rule society. So apply laws, distribute resources, that kind of thing. So those are the 3 sort of the visions that Nick Bostrom has for how you would use superintelligence. And all of them are pretty scary. But the scary part isn't the fact that it's a machine doing it. It's what was the programming and the implementation that went into the machine, and how do you communicate what is a moral good to a machine? Because I'll put it to you this way. If I can program a machine to maximize everyone's happiness, then it could perversely instantiate that every human being is going to have a pair of electrodes shoved into the happiness centers of their brain, and it's all going to be the Matrix. They're all going to be like, you know, that's how a program would think. We didn't tell it, no, it's not that kind of happiness. It's a very different kind of happiness, but
very specific.
yeah,
When you give instructions to computers.
exactly, yeah.
You can't see the outcomes of
But just before anything, before you go that far,
Sure.
you don't think AI exists?
No, we said it. At the moment, it doesn't. At the moment, it does not. So people are confusing the terms neural network, machine learning, artificial intelligence.